Ladies and gentlemen.
Bit of violence in the morning. We woke up and decided to choose the wrong studio. I'm so sorry.
Tom has had an absolute mare. You would have think that it was him on prep. Actually, I think it was just a case of being a bit spangled, correct?
Don't book podcasts whilst in Ibiza.
There we go. At least he booked it. I think that's the main thing. Tom actually took time out of his holiday to book a whole wrong podcast studio, but that's fine. We've got we're a bit confused by the bloke, to be honest. We think we have 40 minutes, which is more than enough time.
We do have 40 minutes.
More than enough time. I don't believe you can book this podcast studio on the 15 minutes.
You can't. You're not. It's impossible.
There we go. So I reckon we're out of here at 1:45, which is it's 35 minutes. You hear that echo? Inside. How are you?
Yeah, I'm right, mate.
Other than that,
just about
stress.
Just about recovered, man. The voice is gone. The bloody music in DC10 is just too loud now.
What were you doing? Were you singing?
No, I was just, when you're shouting to your mate and they're like, what?
Oh, yeah.
What? I'm like, I can forget about it.
Fuck that.
You dozy bastard. Yeah, that was good.
But you had a good time. We've both been away since we've been in the body.
Yeah, we have. Do they know you went away?
Yeah, because I think so.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
How was your little trip?
My little trip was really good. I was having a rough time with prep beforehand. Obviously, as I've been very vocal about, I think moaning about stuff's fine as well. I saw a post today about someone said, this guy just gets on with it, and I don't. And Josh is the same. I think we're very open about.
I don't.
Well, do you know what I mean? I will get on with it, but I'm going to tell everyone how hard it is, and that doesn't mean it's not my choice or whatever. But it means that I'm going to be open and honest about how I'm feeling throughout this process, because really I want people to understand and relate to it. I don't think. I find it really, really, the whole robot thing for me, very unrelatable. Don't think many people have that mindset where they can just switch. It's hard, mate.
Yeah, but I think it's important for you to vocalise how you're feeling, because it injects that reality to people that, we get potential clients come to us and think about competing next year. Yeah. Like, well, you don't know the half of it. Yeah,
that's always my first conversation actually with anyone that says, I want to compete for the first time, and I'm like, right, the first thing I say is, this will take over your life for 6 months. Just be prepared for that. It will take over everything. But yeah, and I went away 3.5 days in Spain. Went over to my parents are lucky enough to have a little villa over there in Madeira. I got spotted actually. Did I tell you that?
Did you put? No, you didn't tell me. No.
Oh, that was comedic.
In the gym?
Not even in the gym, mate.
Oh, that's even better.
So it was actually hilarious. I'll tell a story. So we went for a little walk. I hope he's listening actually, because it makes sense when I say it. We'd gone for a walk and just sort of circling back, coming out of the town back towards where my parents' place is, and I'm sweating my tits off at this point, as you can imagine. Sure. And no surprise. And I hear someone go, "Joe," and I was like, "Nah, it's not me." He said it again, and then again. I was like, right. I turned around, there's this guy who stopped his cab that he was in to run over to me. And he's gone, "Joe, sorry, mate, I was just listening to your and TM Cycles podcast. Can I get a picture?" And I was he hands
hands the phone to you. I like it when
no, not to me, to my person that I was with. Hands her the phone and goes, "Can you take a picture?"
He did the stick it on the other person.
Literally stuck it straight on her, and fair enough. He was all very polite and stuff. He was like, "Can I get a picture?" I was like, "You can, mate." I was like, "I'm sweating, I'm rough," but he looked like he was just about going out, mate.
Did you get his name?
I didn't, but he did message me after. Actually, he apologised. He was like, "Sorry, mate, you got a bit excited there." I was like, "No worries, that's all right. You were polite enough." Apart from just thrusting the phone at mine.
It's nice when it's not in the gym.
It was funny, mate. He looked like he was a textbook TM Cycles follower.
What does that even mean?
He had the whitest teeth I've ever seen. He was very slick looking. Tattoos. And he had a little, it wasn't preview, but I don't think anyway, it could have been preview.
Arnie Clo.
Maybe Arnie Clo or preview, sort of, a holiday set, as it were. Sort
good
of
lad.
Beige and navy shorts and some leather type sandals. He looked good. But yeah, he was very polite. Shout out you, mate.
Shout out to you, mate.
Big up yourself, son.
The trip did its job, though.
But yeah, the trip did its job. So obviously, I didn't take my scales out there. I took my weighing scales of food and that, and obviously everything was tracked as best as possible. But really, for me, it was about de-stressing, staying under my calorie deficit, getting my cardio and my training done, and just doing hella steps. So I sort of lived on Diet Cokes and black coffees when we were out, sparkling waters. Shout out TM Cycles, and and yeah, came back 3 whole kilograms lighter, which was crazy.
Really? Kilo a day?
3 kilos in 3 days, as opposed to actually no kilos in about 6 weeks, which is amazing. And then today 112.3, so
Good,
it's
man.
moving. But I was just saying to Tom as I rocked up at the wrong studio, and he was like, "Well, I fucked up. We've got to go to the other one." I was like, "Oh my god!"
I just
Tom.
knew as well. I didn't want to tell you. I actually thought about saying, right, should I just lie and say that they fucked up?
Honestly, it's always the best policy.
I was going to say they fucked up, but they've got a slot for us at Hoxton.
Oh mate, honestly, Jesus Christ, he said that I just wanted to fall back.
Yeah, my bad.
Pass out. My legs are struggling, but
I'll
it's all
pay
good.
for your Uber home or something.
No,
Get you a massage.
Much appreciated. No, but yeah, how was your trip? How was Ibiza?
Yeah, good, mate. I DC 10, 4:30 in the morning. You're like this. See someone giving me the eyes, and I thought, oh, all right, so cool. So I went over, started dancing. I was like, you all right? See. I was like, oh, it's Spanish. Yeah, we doing later, and whatever. Felt someone grab my t-shirt. It was my mate saying, that's a bloke. I said, oh, fucking hell, I was so out of it, I didn't even know.
The jawline. Give it away.
I'm convinced it wasn't a bloke. Right. There was one of those individuals walking about, and it definitely wasn't.
A transgender?
A transgender, yeah. That was one of my stories. One of my many Ibizan stories. But yeah, it was good to get away, mate.
I was just thinking Josh had dentist, by the way. We've all fucked up today, to be honest, apart from me.
Which is a first.
Yeah, I'm normally the fucker upper, but Josh had the dentist because he didn't think Tom did book. Tom did actually book, despite being off his rocker, but obviously wrong place. But yeah, Josh is dentist. So I think we've now completed the 3 possible scenarios. Apart from you two haven't done your solo ones, but you sort of covered it last week, which I really enjoyed actually listening to that podcast.
Good response, that one.
On the way, yeah. So you've heard a bit from all of us now about who we are, I guess, and our journeys. And I think what I wanted to talk to you about was you'd sort of mentioned the journey you'd been on over the last sort of 18 months and almost beyond, really. I think everyone's I think a lot of people who have followed you for a long time do have this idea of this persona that you created initially, and I think Josh sort of said it right. It was that TM Cycles, not Thomas More. The McGregor, the Pablo Escobar, and all that stuff. And I think it's been really, really interesting to see that. It's definitely been like a change in personality, a growth. I think in personality. There's a lot less of that materialistic stuff. I remember remember a little while ago you told me about like you got that LV bag and you're like, I just don't even know I've got this anymore. Yeah. And I think that's a really interesting bit of growth that I think a lot of people go through. Yeah. I like buying nice things, but I question a lot now. I'm thinking a lot more forward thinking now with regards to what I'm going to do with my life. But yeah, I wanted to just unpack that with you a little bit. What do you think sort of triggered that? Do you think it is the sort of change in occupation, if you like, in terms of? I think
it stemmed from breaking up with my previous partner, if I'm being completely honest with you, because at that point, you're incredibly vulnerable, and alongside that vulnerability is realization of like, shit, I've turned into a bit of an arsehole. You
sort of self-analyze things.
Yeah, massively, and I think it's a lot. I think it does take a lot for a person to kind of almost overanalyze and dissect themselves. Yeah, because there's times whereby we're naturally we don't want to go into that sort of realm, do we? Yeah. We always put a barrier up and we're like, no, we try and kind of convince ourselves that everything's okay. So, and it came at a time whereby I had the ability to do that. Prep is a very lonely experience anyway. So the ability to kind of go for a breakup whilst on prep was good for me as an individual, good for me as a brand, as a business, as an individual. So that was the main trigger. It was kind of taken on board, almost like sort of feedback from her when I was speaking to her about things, and I was like, shit, I was like that.
I guess you almost had the opportunity to have a mirror shot like someone show a mirror to you, and then you went through a lot of introspection. I think something you just mentioned there, which I really resonate with, is obviously it was prep and it was lockdown, wasn't it? Yeah. And so you spend a lot of time on your own, didn't you? Huge. And it's a huge amount of time to just be in your own head, and actually it's pretty horrible. I think I'm very, very happy to say, actually, obviously I think we've been really open on this podcast on season 1 and as season 2's gone on, that me and you both went through quite a lot probably over the last 18 months. Both really stemming from breakups, and then I think like loneliness. Would you say? I think a lot of loneliness. Like
a lot of loneliness.
I wouldn't say I've suffer. I don't like the word suffer, but I've experienced a lot of loneliness.
Yeah.
And when you go through those big life changes, you dissect them in your head day after day after day. Like, if you're not busy, if you finish your work or whatever, you either need something to distract yourself, which is prep is really good for that. That's definitely helped me over the last few months. But prior to prep, when I just felt like I was just sort of floating through, very, very difficult to be in your head every day. And I think that's probably why I sort of reached out and had I think a couple of months worth of therapy in the end. I called it a day about a month ago because I was like, I think someone else needs this more than I do. And I'm very well aware of the shortage of therapists actually at the moment. So yeah, I think that time you spend in your own head, like you say, you just
I think it's important as well. Going back to that, I don't think people. I get quite a few questions now about like relationships, and I think that the one thing I say to people is not to mask it. I think you have to go through it because you can easily break up with someone and then start going out with other people and just using that as a mask. But when that stops, then you're only prolonging the inevitable, which is that crash. So it was it came at the right time for me. And some of the loneliest periods were when we were in lockdown and I was driving. Remember when it was a tiered system? So I'd drive from like mine to a tier 3, which was an hour drive just to get to the gym because I was on prep and I had to train and I had to do my cardio and that. And they were some of the most loneliest journeys of my life, man. Because the roads were empty. Like I felt like I was thingy in Walking Dead, just absolutely zombified anyway because of prep. But,
in a simulation.
But yeah, it's always character build. You can't go through life without any of these things happening. Do you know what I mean? It makes you a stronger person. It's made me a lot happier. I suppose you're only. I've said before it's bittersweet because you kind of you make one decision, and you regret it a little bit, but the growth that I've got from that decision has meant that it's kind of bittersweet. It's like I've lost this incredibly amazing person that I love very much, but at the same time, if I didn't go through that process, would I be in this spot now where I understood that I was being far too materialistic, being arrogant, slightly narcissistic? Probably not.
Would you just be
same person,
and
just
would
continually
that break down further down the
line? Precisely. I wouldn't want to get to my mid-30s and for that to happen to me. So I'm kind of glad that it's happened in my late 20s and it's allowed me to kind of be in the position I am today. But yeah, we've both gone through the kind of same.
Yeah, it is really interesting about because like I say, we sometimes sort of joke between the three of us, don't we? We get quite deep questions that I'm definitely not. Or definitely haven't felt before remotely qualified to answer about how do you get over a breakup and I sort of joked about it on a YouTube video recently. I've started the video about it. I said this one's going to be about breakups.
I remember.
And no, I'm joking. I'm still working that out myself. But I think there is no formula for a breakup. Grief is going to be different for every single person. But I think exactly what Tom said there, almost that time alone, which is probably the last thing you want at the beginning, is probably what you need the most, or just some time to reflect upon it or talk about it with people. And I think ideally people that just want to listen actually and don't want to try and fix. My old man, my stepdad, I spoke to him a lot throughout the whole process, and I sort of realised eventually after I'd had therapy that he always had an answer for things, and actually sometimes it's just about listening. Because no one really knows what's going on inside your head. You have to work it out yourself. And it's I think what you said there is so true. You can, but I obviously it sort of ended. I went off to Dubai and I thought I was having a whale of a time, and I did have a whale of a time for sort of 4 or 5 weeks, and then I came back and then it started hitting me in prep. Of course. So that's obviously last year's, but yeah. So
I don't think you ever get. I think that question that comes up a lot about getting over. I don't think you really ever get over a relationship long term. I think you just grow mentally stronger and you get better. There's better coping mechanisms. I'll be brutally honest. I don't think I'm still over my previous relationship until the point whereby I find someone else, and it's. Do you know what I mean? So before you meet that next person, you still kind of. I still have the thoughts that the potential. Could we ever
still sort of patching up?
Could we ever get back together? It's almost like it calms myself. So if I'm having a really frantic day, or if I'm having a really like kind of down day, I'll kind of soothe myself by saying, "Oh, there's always the possibility we could get back together."
That's probably quite dangerous, though.
Yeah, of course, but I can't help it because because I know once I get into that mindset and I say to myself, "Oh, whatever," and it's like that, Joe. It's like, bang! Oh, I'm feeling better now. I can crack on with my day.
That's interesting. I think that's probably not a good thing in the long run,
No.
but I understand obviously if it helps you get through.
Of course, and I'm well aware that it may indeed be over, but I'm at a point now where
Even listening at you now, look, it may well be over.
Yeah,
it is over.
Yeah, no, okay, yeah, of course. But even then, it's almost like you don't want to accept it, do you?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's acceptance, mate.
Yeah,
it's acceptance of the mate. It's acceptance and like, I think it's an appreciation and a gratitude of your new life now.
Yeah,
that's what it is, Tom.
Yeah.
And I think actually probably whilst I'm still pulling you up on you saying may well. What has happened is it's got less and less and less and less, and that is that thing that I've spoken with you about loads of times privately, maybe even on this podcast. But that grief button that Louis told me about, I don't know where that comes from, but I'll explain the concept. When you go through something traumatic, loss of a loved one, breakup, whatever it might be, you have this box, and you think about this box. There's a ball pinging around the box. It's like that arcade game where you got the sliders and you ping the ball from left to right, but there's just one slider, and that ball continually goes around this box and bounces off the walls, and the button, which is called the grief button, starts big, which means that the probability of that grief button getting hit is very high. Yeah. Maybe every time you go to a certain bar or even a supermarket that you used to go to, that grief button gets hit. But that grief button just over time just gradually gets smaller and smaller. And then I guess at some point, someone new comes into your life and then maybe it gets even smaller. Yeah. And hopefully at that point you've completely accepted it, and you've also hopefully started to realise wasn't meant to be, actually. Yeah. There's a reason it didn't work, and actually I'm more suited to this life or this possibility or this situation. I told you about that book. I think you should read it, Tom. Midnight Library.
Okay.
Absolutely brilliant. Really actually enjoyable read. One you can get totally lost in.
Love that.
And it's all about kind of that. It's about the endless possibilities of life. And it's amazing. It sort of verges a bit on the sort of butterfly effect.
Yeah.
And there is, that it's called the Midnight Library because she goes there and there's all these books and they're all the different ways her life could have gone. And obviously it's just Louis actually read it while he was on holiday, and he said it was amazing. And I really rate his taste in books as well. So yeah, I'll get on that if I were you. I gave my copy to Dr. Mike.
I like it. I like the old passing of books.
Pass it on because it's such a good book, mate. I really recommend it.
My Silent Patient book's doing the rounds at the moment.
Yes. The person that I was on holiday with was reading that.
Ah, really?
And she told me about the ending, but
she's done it?
She finished it, but she couldn't really explain the ending to me.
No, you can't.
Oh, I think I need to read it then.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Maybe I should get. I probably should.
It is.
Probably should get some
up
reading
there.
done.
One of the best books I've read. It was incredible.
Oh, amazing.
To the point where I was on the train. I thought I can't finish the book on the train. I have to be in a home setting to finish it. Do you know what I mean? I thought these people around me don't deserve to see my live reaction of this book being finished.
That's really funny. That's really good. We were going to talk about our biggest, after we've just done a little breakup
I think that
segment.
ties in well with what we were speaking about, John.
That was totally...
wins and losses.
That was totally spontaneous there. But yeah, we were going to talk about... we were going to talk about our biggest wins and losses throughout our... Not even wins and losses, but wins and mistakes, I said, didn't I?
Yeah, well, we learned from it, didn't we?
Yeah.
We considered my decisions in business as losses, if I'm being completely honest with you.
Have you got any in mind?
I would say one fits under both categories. The win would be the members' site, and the loss would also be the members' site. The fact that we got into uncharted territory for me in terms of numbers and monetary gain, something that I'd never even consider. I think when you're working at a normal 9-to-5 job and you get paid the average, what is it, 1,800, two bag, whatever it is. Never thought I'd be in a position where I'd be earning that sort of large amount of money. But then the downside to that was whenever it kind of retracted beneath what it was consistent at, it'd throw me completely off, and I'd start panicking, start making silly business moves and decisions, and and it's hard because when you go from very little money to that sort of money, you don't invest very well.
You've always been quite meticulous with saving, though, haven't you? You've always been quite good at that. I remember when I first came to your flat, and I knew in Beckenham, and I knew how well you were doing, and I thought, it's a nice flat, but I was like, this is really modest. And like it's like with your car, I know you've got a few bits of like expensive clothing and that, but your car and your flat they're modest, or they were very modest for what you were earning at the time, weren't they? So that's quite a big win, I think, from you, because obviously with a business like that you had, with all of our businesses actually, as an exception of 1MR, which I know Josh hasn't even touched the money in that. We don't have any outgoings, so it could be very, very easy to spend a lot of money because you have it coming in and you don't have any outgoings. So you could quite easily build a rod for your own back with your spending, couldn't you?
But then again, if it's the Love Island effect, isn't it? If they kind of continue that lifestyle after Love Island, but then the new intake could come and then their money drops, they're like, all of a sudden I've got, oh my God, I'm paying 10 grand for this G-Wagon I can't afford.
So it's actually really good that that's what I mean. Like that's a real big win for you, and probably a lesson for a lot of people is when you see that. Because that growth for you was astronomical, wasn't it? It went from YouTube, which is nothing or minimal, and then to member site, which means no minimal earnings to lots of earnings very quickly. And I
was still a sole trader at that time, so I hadn't even switched over to a limited company.
So and
I remember breaking into that upper tax bit. I thought, Christ, I need to make a change here, because it's like in your head you see the money come in, but half of it goes just out straight away.
So you said the member site almost sort of fell in your lap as a big win, and then what is the loss there? What is the
Well, it's still open, so it's still a vault, and I still get quite a good amount of business a month from just selling it as a single entity on its own.
Yeah.
But the reason why I kind of pulled off from that was because it was predicated around just bodybuilding and anabolic steroids, and this new life that I wanted to go into, that was my old life. So I thought I'm not, if I continue kind of going against the grain just because of the monetary I'm gonna be in a horrible spot. So I made the executive decision after the show to go, right, I'm gonna stop coaching and I'm gonna stop my members site. And I banked money during that prep. Each month I put money aside, so I had a good 6 to 8 month run of just being able to live my life. But when the money starts dwindling and it gets, I kind of reached out to you a couple of weeks ago and said, cool, I'm a bit worried here, like.
I don't. It's funny, innit? It's all relative. It's all relative to what you were earning.
Yeah,
you're still earning good money, comfortable money on, I don't know what, I don't know, like the percentage of earnings in the country, but you're very, very comfortable. But obviously, going it's like what you said. It's that shock to system of going from this to that. And I'm the same actually. I'd say some of my biggest. I think my biggest mistake was I was actually going to talk about like a bodybuilding one, which I'll talk about in a minute, which is diet related. But I'm very good at putting the work in when I need to. I've always been like this. Sure. If I don't need it, I won't be proactive.
Sure.
And I've tried to get much better at that recently, and that's why I've sort of had a bit of a change in strategy with regards to pushing online coaching. Like there is every third post is a client, so people know I'm a coach, not just an athlete. Of course. One of my biggest mistakes in all my times of panic come from when I'm doing really well, and then suddenly I look at my my master sheet and I'm like, oh fuck, I've actually lost 20 clients over the last like 2 months, and then I start scrambling, and so that's a big mistake for me. So I think always staying on top of that is something that can bring my stress down a lot.
As in always staying on top of the kind of
almost the marketing of it, like always have like things are very good at the moment. They're really, really good. The best they've been, obviously, with expanding with Max. Luke is now doing incredibly well. Like I cannot believe there's not. I was flat out saying, and I've said it loads of times, there is no other 21-year-old in this country. No. Maybe the world looks fantastic, doing the numbers he's doing. He's absolutely brilliant stuff. So things are good now, but I have to stay on top of that, and I think prep doesn't help with that. I get because obviously, like you saw me today when I rocked up, like I'm a bit of a ghost behind the eyes. Like I'll be able to talk to you for an hour, and then that'll be me done for the day. I'll be like,
we mentioned that yesterday, last podcast, me and Josh, about when you are doing well, you do drop off because you think that level of maintenance. It's a bit like me working with Insight. When I have a really good month, you kind of just think you take advantage of it. Yeah, you just completely you see this money coming in. You're like, I don't need to do this, and you think. Then you have a bad month. You think, oh god, and let me look back and let me analyse why that's happened. Oh wait, I've done no posts.
Yeah,
I haven't done a single swipe up.
Yeah, that's it, innit?
And people need that, and you can't get you very lackadaisical in approach sometimes. But it's fucking, these things happen.
It's funny, innit? We keep coming back to that. That sort of self-analysis and introspection, whether it's in your personal life, your business life, your bodybuilding life, all these things, and I've had so many lessons, I think, from from analysing why aren't things going right, when actually what we should be better at doing is things are going well. Why is that?
Yeah, absolutely.
What am I doing, and what can I do more of to keep that moving forward? Because I think I'll give a couple of dietary examples, and I'll give the early one, and then one that I've sort of learned recently. So obviously this prep's been quite hard, and what I realise is I really hang on to. I've got my coping mechanisms in prep, and I really hang on to them to keep it as enjoyable as possible. And sometimes you have to say, Joe, like, you just got to fucking embrace the suck, mate. Mm-hmm. Like, I talk about convenience and making things easy. So I bought the recumbent bike and I put it in my lounge, and I do all that. But actually, the difference between me rolling out of bed, doing 6 steps to the recumbent bike, doing 40 minutes on the recumbent bike, which isn't actually really, it's my heart rate is at 130. It's the bare minimum. I'm getting by with the bare minimum. Yeah. And then getting in the shower and starting work. I've done no steps, really. I've done my 40 minutes, which is, the bare minimum. To now, a couple of weeks ago, I was like, right, now this ain't enough. So I've signed up to the gym box. I now have to walk 7,000 steps there and back to the gym box just to do my 50 minutes cardio. And now I've got a Stairmaster, and I've got a bike, and I've got things that get my heart rate. My average heart rate now is like 145 versus 130. I've probably, it's like 1.5 times the amount of calories burned. So there's things like that. There's another thing this week. I've made a big adjustment, which is when I get later on in prep, I'm all about the volume, as I've spoken about before. Cream of rice, I'm just hammering that. You're making it as voluminous as possible. And what I'm finding is, great, I'm making it really voluminous. And great, my condition's changing. But it's not happening as quick as I need it to, and my weight's not moving. That's because I'm eating a kilo's worth of like cream of rice and water in the last few hours before bed. Of course. Probably sitting in my stomach. Digestion's not good. Yeah. Probably don't sleep great. Wake up heavy. Why? Well, exactly. You might need to make a change. So literally yesterday, I've like, as much as I want to eat that cream of rice because it makes my day enjoyable, it's got to go. It's almost like you know what to do, but you're just like, you're just like, I think we've all been there. I definitely work better with my back to the wall, and that is evident in business. That is evident in prep. That is 100% agree. So same as when we mentioned about Cal a couple of weeks out asking me to go down either route, and I thought, let me actually do the hard route. Yeah, like let me actually go down the route whereby I'm going to be extremely uncomfortable. And then ever since, the knock-on effect of that's meant that this last 12-week Ibiza cut was a doddle. Absolutely flown through. Absolutely doddle, man. Like 5 key down, just like. It's been really interesting for me actually watching this. I know I spoke to you about it. I think I said it on a previous podcast about that, like where you've been before on a cut to where you've been this time, and like I'm looking at your breakfast, I'm thinking, what the fuck? That's like half my daily calories. I couldn't have that meal one because I push all my food back. But again, you do, didn't you? That's another thing I've had to change. I'm now changing that because Joe, eating 3/4 of your calories in the last 4 hours or 3 hours before bed, it's not helping you. No, it's not. Do you know what I mean? It's meaning that actually your training intensity in the morning is probably nowhere near as good because I'm training off egg whites and cheese. Do you know what I mean? So that's the reason why I do it, because I do. So my sessions now kind of look like probably 45-minute weightlifting and 30-minute Metcon. Nice. So it'll be like a Metcon bias. If I do an upper session, it'll be an upper Metcon bias. And I'll be burning anywhere between kind of 8 to 1,000 calories. But the fact that I'm able to have a couple of bagels and a bit of jam will get me through that. Whereas as I used to do what you used to do on prep, I used to have like an egg white omelette bacon. I just think even the pre-workout wouldn't hit. And I think the only thing that would get me through those sessions is knowing that I had food. Yeah. And as soon as I made that switch to performance-based and having food then, my appetite was all right, man. I used to have a shake, and then I was like, nice light dinner. I could get off to bed better. 100%. So I think that switch was needed for you. Yeah, I feel that for sure, and I think I always go through it. It's a lesson that I never learn it. Happens all the time until I learn it. Yeah, every prep I did the same. Until I'm like, I have to because no one's going to tell me. I have to have a word with myself. Because Cal doesn't know the intricacies of how I get through my day. Of course. He just knows that I hit my calories and I hit my cardio. Yeah. But there's ways of doing it. It's not all about calories in versus calories out at the peak level. And there needs to be that level of as a client kind of, as much as a coach is there to help you guide you through a process, there needs to be that element of proactivity on your own end to go 100%. Right. You have to hold yourself accountable as much as a coach holds you accountable, because they can lead the horse to water, but they can't make it drink.
No.
That's the bottom line, isn't it, with these processes?
Do you analyse anything to do with your business? So I've recently just started looking at I do fortnightly, so at the start of every Monday I'll look at my YouTube analytics. So basically any YouTubers that are watching now, any up and coming content creators, what's happened to the YouTube studio has been remarkable. The amount of kind of detail that they give, the data that they give you is absolutely worth its weight in gold. I mean, it shouldn't be free. It's the sort of thing, and I think they've probably clocked on to what that plugin that I use, vidIQ. I think they sort of saw what vidIQ were doing and thought, hold on, we should be really doing this as well. So I don't pay for vidIQ anymore. I just use the free one because the YouTube analytics is incredible.
Yeah, it really is.
And the ability for you to kind of look at your look at the retention rate on a video, what parts people dropped off, you know, the chain effect. So if you look at the kind of previous 3 videos, you'll notice I've done like Ibiza, and YouTube algorithm will kind of reward that. So sitting down, even once a month would be for most content creators would be advised, but just to get that kind of understanding. And I'm just thinking, would you ever apply that sort of similar model to online coaching?
Yeah, so I sit down at the end of each month and look at earnings and like how I did. I do probably once a year, I send out like a big long feedback form for clients to fill out.
Good.
And in terms of where I notice myself slipping or needing a bit of help, because this is the difference between working in the business and working on the business, isn't it? You're working, you know, creating your videos is you working in your YouTube, looking at the macro picture, the trends is you working on your YouTube. From a bit of like a CEO sort of view, someone who's holding you accountable. Well, you are. We've spoken about this before. Like when you're a solo entrepreneur, you have to hold yourself accountable. And I think this is where there is value in maybe a business coach or a financial planner, or in my case at the moment, and also Josh's case, obviously Chelsea.
Yeah.
So if there are things that I would like to do this to analyse my business, but I don't have the time to do it, I can ask her to do it, and she will do a much better job than me. And that really is the structure of any business you work in. You know, that's why a CEO is there to look down at his board of directors, and they all have their you know, areas of responsibility that they will bring to him and say, all right boss, or him or her, and say, all right boss, you know, this is a good month and we think this is why, this is a bad month and we think this is why. And that's what you need on a much smaller level.
Yeah, we need to treat, I think we almost take advantage of the position that we're in, don't we? We need to take ourselves as an actual business. Yeah. Because sometimes I look at my day and I think, what have I done? I've done a few check-ins. That's absolutely ridiculous. I've worked an hour. Yeah. So now what I do is, what I've started to do over the last week is I will go to David Lloyd, or I'll go down to the Ned and do a day, as in work. So I'll get up or do half a day. I'm quite competent at doing my light work at home, because my creativity is cool. From the book I was reading, Still Like an Artist or something like that. He's got an analog and a digital desk, I think it is. So he's got one desk that's all computer and one desk that's all handwritten.
Oh, like creativity.
So I've just split my kind of working station into 2, and that is it's such a good hack, man.
That's interesting.
Because he says that we're too precise and we're too perfect. A computer has conditioned us to be, the fact that we can delete on a computer, as opposed to when we're freehanding, we can't do that. And more creativity stems from doing that. So I've split my day up into 2. So I'll do a good shift at David Lloyd now for a bit. I'll wake up, do my cardio, crack on, make the productivity get done.
What do you do there? Your creative stuff?
No, I do my hard work, consult calls, client check-ins, and anything to do with the business. And then when I get home, it's all creative.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So much more enjoyable as well.
Yeah, I think environment's a big one, like working environment. And a lot of it is about, like, I think I said this before, but like that, I don't know how many people do this. I don't know if it's just me. It's always been a given for me because I came from that corporate world. Getting ready for work, I couldn't imagine anything worse than rolling out of bed, putting on some slacks and just sitting at my desk. Yeah, I want to get up, have a shower, I get dressed. I'm not getting dressed for anyone. I'm getting dressed for me, just for how I feel. Obviously at the moment it's like I get up, I do cardio, I then come back and shower, and then I start work. But I think just finding that switch, whatever it is for you, that switch to I'm working now. But yeah, I'm very much like you. I get my work done. I try and get my work done as early as possible. Like, it's a bit disrupted at the moment, and getting a bit agitated with it. But Josh likes to train early. If it was up to me,
He does, doesn't he? What time does he train?
Well, he wants to. I think if it was up to him, we'd be there at 10.
10, yeah.
I want to be there. Honestly, if it was me on my own or I could dictate it, I would rather train at probably 1.
Yeah, I do 1 now.
Maybe 12 or 1, because then I would be able to wake up, do a real big chunk of my work, probably most of it. Then I could have my time to sit and eat and digest that food, and then I can go and train.
Yeah, sure.
I was stressed yesterday because he wanted to be at the gym at 11, and I was like, I'll be on time. I got there at 11:06, which for me is on time, but I was stressed because I was rushing and I didn't even get to have half my pre-workout meal, like with the carbs in, and it was just too much for me. And but the benefit of training with Josh is obviously outweighs,
of course,
that bit of stress for me. And once the session's done, I'm chilled. But I think that environment, that time blocking out that you do is key.
I work, but the simple task of me going downstairs to a clean house will...
Oh, God.
Do you know what I mean?
Cleanliness is everything.
So it's just paramount. So I will actually, not deep clean, but I'll ensure that my outfit for the next day is on my banister.
Yeah.
And so if I'm vlogging, SD cards are cleared, batteries are sorted, and tripods in position.
You got a clean slate.
That is the simple... It takes 3 minutes. If I go down and the SD card isn't there or my plates are out, I'm not vlogging.
Yeah.
Which I know is absurd because it takes 2 seconds to clean a plate.
I don't think it is absurd. I don't think it is at all. I think it's creating that environment that you want to walk into and feel comfortable. Yeah. So it was on Monday. So I filmed with Andy and then he came back to mine, and it was going to be one quick video, a couple of recipes. But I got back and there was stuff all out everywhere because I'd rushed to get to the gym for Josh.
I hate that.
And I was like, "Oh, Andy, just sit down a minute, mate. I got to tidy all this up." So everything got washed. Cafetiere cleaned out and washed. The sink got cleaned. Dishwasher loaded. My desk is clear. Is this going to be in the shot? No, don't matter. I got to clean it anyway.
Yeah, good.
And then bang, I can start. But yeah, oh mate, tidy, whatever it is, tidy desk, tidy mind, or whatever. It's like fucking absolute.
When you clean your cafetiere, do you take the thing apart?
Nah,
you don't.
I quite like a bit of coffee stain.
So you know the actual disc that
fully
you plunge, I hold and twizzle, and the satisfaction I get from taking those 3 bits apart and cleaning all the coffee granules.
Oh, see, I get a bit confused with the
I had to replace it. I did that. I threw one out on prep, smashed it on purpose. Like, fuck this. Smashed it and got a new one. I do like a deep cleans of a cafetiere. Yeah, you can tell we're getting old, can't we?
Yeah, that's good. That is decent. I reckon we're going to get kicked out soon. So should we...
Quarter 2. Mate, I think that's probably going to be our best podcasts.
Absolutely smashed it. Breakups, personal life, business mistakes and lessons.
All in half an hour. You ain't getting that value anywhere else, folks. Like, let's be honest.
I don't think there's another podcast like us at the moment, and I'm happy to say that.
Bold, yeah. I respect it.
We'll be back next week. You're around next week.
I will book the right one. I do apologise, Joe. I know
I'm around next week. Tom is around next week.
My bad.
Josh is indeed around next week. And we are currently putting in the works to get our guest of the season on, which might be in July.
I like one guest per season.
Yeah, it's quite nice, and it's like special guest.
Yeah, I think that's a nice concept to have.
Yeah, it's cool. We have a lot to talk about. I think between the three of us, there's a lot going on for all of us, isn't there? So.
Absolutely. Appreciate your time, folks. As always, take care. Enjoy your summer. Speak soon.